this will be my first ever time listening to Veil of Maya. That's exciting. This song's called Godhead. Let's see what it's like. And go! Electronic. Potentially interesting time signature? Oh, we're straight in. A little bit. Filthy. Nice. Interesting distortion. It's a driving beat. It's quite a stripped back song in a lot of ways. A lot of repeated rhythms. Okay. Quite a spectrum of noises. What a different snare sound. Genty. Oh. It's kind of funky. Very robotic at times. Double track screams. That's gross. Oh, I'm getting lost. It's a fucking cool mask. Oh dear. This kind of slaps. Where are we going? We're really leaning into that. Oh my god. Endless. What? Jesus. God. What? Still got, I thought it was over. Oh, there's more. Is there more? Hello, sir. Can I help you? Part 1, to be continued. That was a bit of an onslaught of sound, which I did not hate. I enjoyed that quite a lot. Alrighty. Okay, let's try and break it down. Drums. Solid, enjoyable, very good. Very tight, almost machine-like in his kind of performance. A lot of gaps, very particular placement of kick drum, right? A lot of times the snare was in a predictable pattern, I think, as my memory serves, but it's the kicks that kind of give it that roll, sort of jaggedy roll around the snare. Strange way of describing it, but that's kind of how I interpreted that. So it had a sort of proggy element. There were moments when it's kind of confused with potential time signatures, but I think it was mostly syncopation of putting beats in places you don't necessarily expect them around the central kind of 4/4 groove. So that was kind of interesting. I enjoyed that, and it slapped. Lovely, a couple little fills in there that I enjoyed, that I noticed that were great, but for the most part, it was about executing exactness, punchy beats, and it served its role very effectively for what that song seemed to be intending to do. So solid drums, I enjoyed them. Perhaps not as much feel in them as I like to hear from drums, but this song is not really about feel. This song is about, I don't know what it's about necessarily, but like industrial, punchy expression. I don't know, we'll get into that in a bit. Guitars had a lot going on. There were some, chunky, heavy, gorgeous, heavy riffs, right? I said heavy twice because it was quite heavy, which I really, really liked. But also there's really interesting other sonic experiments done on the guitars from times there, like some really, discord high notes and, things that seemingly were outside of the key of that song, just to add a bit of dynamic interest and, odd soundscapes to it, which I enjoyed. Some really interesting, I don't even know how to describe them, electronic distracting expressions of filth. I don't know, but I liked it. It was kind of a lot of squeaks and squeals and bits and pieces there. And then there's a moment there towards the end of the song where there's endless use of one particular note. Everything was just coming back to that one note again and again. Go off a little bit on a riff, come back to that one note again. So that was an interesting choice I've not seen done before. And I love those moments. If you do something that I've not heard before, I am interested. It's going to push us into potentially uncomfortable areas. I would never have thought to write a section that's that long focusing on that one note, but not even just that one note consistently. It was going away and coming back to it, but it was the anchor of a very unusual time signature feeling. I don't even know if it was. It was so hard to compute first time around. But that one note kind of coming back to that the whole way, that was really interesting to me. I thought that was fascinating. The vocals, I don't recall hearing a single melodic note sung, but that's fine. I mean, I generally prefer to have some melody as well as scream vocals to kind of balance things out, but it depends. That song didn't necessarily need it. It was all about just smacking you in the face with a lot of gutturals, but also some high-fry stuff as well, which I wasn't expecting. That came out of nowhere, but it was great. I really liked the sound of their scream vocals and the different ranges they had in there. And then the moment towards the end, right at the end, just everything else seemed to stop. It was just one low, slow guttural feeding through everything, and I thought that was cool. I wasn't expecting that. So that was nice. And if I'm in the mood for a song that's just going to slap my head off, I don't necessarily need there to be a melody vocal as well. I'm quite content now, increasingly as time goes on, I get more familiar with metal, etc. I don't mind so much a song that has just scream vocals if it's done the way that they did that. I thought it was creative and it was really interesting with this intensity and the patterns it was doing over the rest of the instruments. So I enjoyed those vocals. In terms of other elements that were going on in that, I was kind of blinded by the drums and the guitars and the vocals. I didn't really notice as much of the other stuff. There was a little bit of electronic influence, certainly at the start, before the musicians began going on there. I don't know if they have a keyboard. I wasn't paying enough attention, I think, to what was going on in the video, because there was so much to try and dissect in my head with what was going on sonically. But for whatever I can recall, there seemed like there was some kind of synthy moments in there, and whatever it was, it added to the overall sound. But for the most part, a lot of those interesting sounds are coming from the guitars. Those kind of squeals and bits and pieces I mentioned earlier gave the sense of other elements you might have in a kind of metal song like that you might expect another instrument to do potentially. But it was, yeah, it was cool. I'm gonna have to listen to that again. On first listen, it was quite hard to pick that apart because half my brain is trying to think, where is this rhythm going? So yeah, that was the overall thing. It was a very rhythmic song rather than a melodic song, so I think that was kind of the main focus of my attention. In terms of the overall song, I really enjoyed that. If you told me beforehand what that song was going to be like, it's going to be very genty, it's going to be fucking, scream vocals throughout, not a note to be sung, and some moments where you won't know what the time signature is, I'd be like, I don't know if I'm really excited about that. But somehow, the way that they mixed that and produced that and just harnessed it like a Hadouken of metal at my face and ears, most of my ears, I guess that makes more sense, I loved it. I thought that was really, really good, and I would happily put that on if I want to get pumped up and get some hype into my veins, because that had so much energy, dynamism, and some really interesting patterns and things, which I as predominantly a drummer, I enjoy that side of music when it does come my way. In terms of giving it a rating, that's quite tricky. I'm pivoting between saying it's a solid song and delicious. And I'm gonna err on the side of delicious. I thought that was really fun, really good, satisfying in a lot of ways, and confusing in some ways, but not so much that I couldn't enjoy it. Just little bits and pieces like, oh, that's interesting, so that on an additional listen, I can revisit that and learn a bit more about it. So that was quite delicious. If you enjoyed this video, please do boop the like button. It'll help other people on YouTube find and potentially enjoy this video as well. If you want to see more videos like this, then feel free to subscribe, and then you'll see future videos that I make doing reactions here. If you're interested in music beyond the rock genre, do feel free to check out the link in the description. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, and maybe I'll see you in another video.